Okay, so welcome also. Welcome to this panel. If you don't want to hear about Israel, you can leave now. If you want to hear about Israel, welcome. We have a very interesting panel, which is how to boost the relationship between both ecosystems. And we have a very diversity panel with more than 50% females, so we're in the right path. And also with very different experience. And the agenda for today will be a very quick introduction from my side, and then each one of the panel will present themselves and will answer the questions. And we promote all of you, and we please connect as much as you want and ask us all the questions while you're doing the way. Anyone here knows Israel? There's just, okay, there's some knowledge of Israel, great. Israel is a small country on the other side of the Mediterranean. The best way to understand Israel is if we divide Spain by 5 or 6. It's about almost 9 million people, with a GDP per capita much higher than Spain of $43,000. Spain is $31,000. It invests 4.9% of GDP in R&D versus the 1.2% of Spain. It has about, 8 or 9,000 startups alive, creating about 1,000 startups every year. It has 360 centers of international, multinational companies doing R&D in Israel. And the whole ecosystem is very vibrant with more than 80 VCs. It's completely different than Spain. They invest about $12,000 million a year versus the 700 or 800 million euros of Spain. And the exits have been values of $15,000 and $20,000 million. So just this is to give you a little background, a little context. It's a very vibrant ecosystem. It works very well, and it has helped develop Israel, and it has a very big impact in the GDP of Israel. Say that, I'm going to introduce very quickly from the chamber myself. My name is Gil Gidron. I'm the chairman of Cardumen Capital. Our present fund is a 60 million euro, $72 million fund, a Spanish fund registered in Spain that invests 100% in Israel in 3 areas, in the area of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and big data. And our LPs are basically financial investors, but also strategic investors. This is Spanish multinationals that are looking for technology in Israel. I'm also representing here the Israel-Spain Chamber of Commerce, or the Spain-Israel Chamber of Commerce. We help, and we are non-for-profit, we help Spanish companies get to Israel and Israeli companies get to Spain, both in technology projects, in investment projects, and in trade. And we're going with the theme of the day. And I would like to, each one of the panelists, please introduce yourselves and tell us what you think of how we can boost the relationship. Some music. How we can boost the relationship between Israel and Spain in ideas. And I'll ask the public, please, if you have any questions. I don't know if we have microphones, so we can. No microphones. Oh, okay. So we can start with Dalia, if you can introduce yourself. And
thank you, Gil.
Dalia, she is an expert in sustainability and in impact social projects, and with a lot of experience. The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. My expertise is in impact, more specifically in impact tech startups, which is this combination of different aspects from social enterprises and startups. And I work as a researcher in the Center for Impact Investing and Entrepreneurship at the College of Management in Tel Aviv in Israel. And I'm working on a specific research on these impact tech startups and mapping, analyzing. I'm also a consultant in these topics and a mentor at different impact accelerators, both in Israel and in Europe and Latin America.
Okay, thank you very much. Rina, if you can present yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, thank you, Gil. And thank you, South Summit, for inviting us to be here. It's my second time. I was in Mexico before the pandemic. So very proud to be here. My name is Rina Feinstein. I was born in Uruguay and lived in Mexico, Argentina, a lot of countries in Latin America. But actually, I have been living in Israel more than 30 years. And my company, which I founded, is a company, an Israeli company. And what we do is we connect the dots between corporates or big institutions that are looking for innovation and technology in Israel. So we have two focus. From one side, we know the Latin American ecosystem, and now we're starting to work with Spain and Portugal. And we also know very well the Israeli innovation ecosystem in different verticals, such as food tech, agri-tech, cybersecurity, Industry 4.0. These are some of the verticals that we work with, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Before going, well, Amos, if you want to, Amos has a tremendous experience in crypto, and also now he lives in Barcelona. So please.
Right. So I guess like typical entrepreneur in Israel, never really went to school, and was building companies since relatively young age. And now, after building different companies, by the way, also in the impact area, I have a fund that invests in different crypto projects, basically two funds. And I moved to Barcelona a year ago. Very happy to be here.
Okay, thank you, Amos. Franca, I hope you can hear us well. If you can just introduce yourself. She's an expert in business development. She lives in Tel Aviv. She's connected from there. Her background is from Austria, but please, the floor is yours.
Hi, I hear you well, and I'm excited to be here virtually today. So yeah, I am the Senior Program Manager for Techstars Tel Aviv. We are an early stage accelerator based out of Boulder, Colorado, but we are running 60 accelerators worldwide. We've invested in over 2,600 companies to date, with a market cap currently of $63 billion. So I've originally from Vienna, Austria. I moved to Israel about 4 years ago, joined Techstars shortly after. So I have a lot of experience what it means to move from Europe to Israel, to get a foothold in the ecosystem there, what it means to work with a lot of Israeli founders, what also especially a lot of European founders can gain into moving to Israel and learning from the ecosystem here. So yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you, Franca. Thank you for joining us virtually today. And now we're going to go into the theme of the day, which is how to boost the relationship between Israel and Spain. I'll start with you, Rina. You have tremendous experience of doing that in Latin America. And as you said, you are starting your operations here also in Spain and Portugal.
Yes.
So if you can tell us, in your view, what are the key aspects, what are the right steps to do this?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, really, actually, I think that I'll start what Israel can give, and then why I understand what Spain can give to the table. Israel can give technologies. There is a lot of innovation, disruption, things that are not even invented in and think about in other countries. I think you can tell a few about the companies, the companies that are in Israel. It's incredible the technologies that are there. But we have a small problem. We don't know the industry. We don't have big industries in Israel. We don't have big companies producing cars or producing food. It's a very small country, a 9 million people country is very small. So we don't have that kind of industry. And I think that what Spain has and can be part of the relationship is bring its experience on what is the scale up or what is the necessities, the challenges that the big companies have, the big organizations have here that we don't have there in Israel. So this much of understanding the needs, understanding how a plant works, understanding how the production cycle works is something that the Israelis don't know. They know the technology, and if you tell them what's the problem, they can find solutions, but they don't understand the problems. So I think that's the best way to cooperate, to give us challenges that you know very well, and say no, say yes, this works, this won't work, and then the solutions can come from Israel.
Thank you, Rina. I think what Rina is saying, it's key. Israel is startup nation. I will say Spain can be defined as scale-up nation because there's a lot of talent, very good professionals, and a lot of manufacturing capabilities that Israel doesn't have.
Exactly.
And this bridge, that in the Chamber of Commerce we call it the technology bridge between Israel and Spain, works phenomenally. And there is excellent examples that has worked in the past. And I encourage the corporations to look at the Israeli technology, but I also encourage the startups to look at the Israeli technology. I know Spanish startups that went to Israel and now they're working with Facebook in the United States because in Israel there's a lot of people looking for technology. So we go to you, Dalia. Impact. Everybody's talking about sustainability, impact, social impact. What Israel does in the impact area, and in your view, she lives now in Barcelona since 2 months ago, what you think it can bring to the Spanish impact ecosystem?
Yeah, so first of all, apart from being the startup nation, now the scaling nation, it's becoming the impact nation. And developing solutions to tackle both social and environmental challenges worldwide. And Israel has been doing that since its inception, no? Although they were not talking about impact or impact solutions, but since the beginning, because innovation is the mother of necessity, and in Israel there's no natural resources, so innovation was like key to really all this development and all these discoveries and innovation we have today. And most of those innovations are really making an impact in different sectors, in different areas, in different countries. And the challenge is to really bring those innovations where the needs are. And today, and mainly after COVID, during COVID, we have all these, it's on your face, on our face, all these challenges from climate change, and Israel is developing a lot of technologies in clean tech, climate change, sustainable agri-tech, health tech, EdTech, and also technologies for disabilities. All these technologies and more are really impactful, and I think it's a good opportunity not only for Israel to invest, so what we are calling impact investment, that is now turning from traditional investment to impact investment, to really invest in companies, startups, technologies that are not only giving profit, but also really making a better world and really a real impact. So it's an opportunity both for Spain and Israel to invest in this kind of organizations, this kind of technologies, and also there is speaking about opportunities, I think that in Spain there's also an important talent that could be also for Israel relevant for the innovation. So I think that cooperation to really boost this kind of innovation related to impact and impact investment as key to really tackle this kind of innovation that are so important nowadays. I'm really happy that today, this summit, the core and key topic is sustainability, and this is a big change. So I'm happy that it's going mainstream.
Thank you, Dalia. I think sustainability and impact is in the agenda of all corporations and government. We'll talk about that if we get enough time, but we need to move on. Franca, you have a tremendous experience, and TechStart is a huge worldwide organization. In your view, what are the angles that can boost the relationships of the both ecosystems?
So I'm building up on also with what Rina started. When I see young Israeli startups especially and ask them where they want to go next, they always say America, it's the US, let's go to the US. And I'm like, wait, Europe is much closer. You have different markets there, different breeding comes strong industry. Why don't you try and start it there first? Sometimes it's even easier and better. You don't have to move. Maybe it's even quicker to get to certain clients because the market is not so overrun with startups that want to partner with people. So I think that is a first angle, that really also trying to educate Israeli founders here that there are other markets out there than the US to go to first and to partner with. And then also, I do feel that there is like a two-way street, is say for Israeli founders to see that there are other markets than the US, but then also for European founders to learn from Israel. So we, in our program here in Tel Aviv, always try to have a majority, obviously, of Israeli founders, but also to invite especially founders from European countries to join us so they can learn from how basically the ecosystem here approaches building startups and executing. And I think this exchange is always very fruitful and important to move forward too.
Thank you, Franca. I think that's key. It's very easy to do business in Israel. Everything is in English, except when you go to the restaurants and so on, but even then. So I'll encourage what Franca just said. I mean, go to Israel, experience the technology, experience the ecosystem, and try to create that bridge in your vertical, because that's what is key and it's important. And with the help of people like us and the Chamber of Commerce and Rina and Dalia and so on and Franca, we'll do our best to work with you to make sure this bridge works very well. Amos, going back to you. You've been living now 1 year in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Your company has decided to move you there, or you have decided to move you there.
No, I mean,
and maybe you can tell us this experience and why Barcelona.
yeah, that's a very interesting. I think in terms of like the ecosystem, etc., I look at it from an entrepreneur perspective. So a typical entrepreneur will start a company and kind of like recruit his first founding members in Israel. And then he will think, okay, I need to raise money. He will either go to one of the leading investors in Israel, or he will fly to the East Coast or West Coast to raise money, right? This is kind of the profile of almost every entrepreneur in Israel. And then when he will launch his product, he will say, okay, where is the market that I want to test my project? Not a lot of projects are actually starting in Israel, right? Because like you said, it's a very small market. So they're looking at another market and immediately, you know, it will be the West Coast or East Coast and that's it. They're not thinking about other markets, etc. moving here for me was really like personal reason. I just wanted to live in Barcelona with my family, so it's not any. We're a distributed team. The fund is distributed. The team is in Israel, Spain, Gibraltar. So it's really distributed. But I started to engage with the community here, and I found a couple of things. One, there is an amazing talent pool here in Spain, and on the other side, not many projects as you have, right? Startups that you have in Israel, and I started to recruit people here in Barcelona because I found that the talent is just unbelievable, and there are people here from great universities, great education, and great experience in traditional finance, for example, things that you don't really have in Israel. So I think that in terms of both talent as well as market size, this is a great opportunity for entrepreneurs in Israel to both recruit and launch their first country, let's say, here in Spain, because it's such a big country, such a diverse population, so it's a very good sandbox to test your, and also great regulations in a lot of different areas, very clear regulations.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Our experience also in the fund and in the Chamber of Commerce is that, like you all said, but Amos said it, in Israel, people don't think about coming to Europe. It's very easy to come to Europe if you have the right help and the perseverance to be there. And in terms of talent, Spain has excellent talent, and Israel also has excellent talent, but there is a shortage of talent in Israel.
Especially today, right?
Especially
during our times, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you compare the salaries in Israel and Spain are much different. So that's another way. Actually, we are working from the chamber with the government of Israel to find the best way to allow visas for Spanish talent to work in Israel. And this is something that has to be negotiated, but is being negotiated right now.
Especially on technology.
What?
Especially engineers
in technology.
technology.
So Spain has excellent engineers, excellent STEM universities. Israel also, but we need more. And the other way around is also, I think, just linking this technology.
But
so I was going back. Sorry.
Just one thing. I think that COVID imposed a great opportunity, right? Because before that, people needed a visa to come to Israel, etc., and work in different companies. But now, everyone are distributed. Everyone are hiring worldwide, and I think it's a great opportunity for people here living in Spain and are talented in what they're doing, as well as to startups in Israel.
We have 4 more minutes, not to be late, so I will try to close up. But Dalia, I have one question for you, which when you were talking, in Israel there is a lot of tradition of impact on the issue of tikkun olam. Tikkun olam is an Hebrew word that means improving the world or something like that, a lot of history. Have you seen anything that can we create that linkage very quickly in less than 1 minute?
Yeah, so it's Tikkun Olam. I wanted to say also that everyone can play really a role in Tikkun Olam, in repairing the world, is literature, repairing the world. So Israel is doing that, as I said before, from the beginning, without speaking about impact, but really trying to solve, because of necessity, very important issues. And it's actually inspiring different countries and other ecosystems in order to really innovate for the good, to develop tech for good, which is what Israel is doing. And actually I saw from the stands here many of the startups here in Spain that are also doing that. I think this will be more and more, and Tikkun Olam is now urgent. It's an urgent matter. It's not something that we can think about like like an isolated responsibility action or something like that. It's a must. It's now. It's like the Bible say, if not me, who, and if not now, when.
Okay.
So,
Franca, if I'm sitting in Madrid or in Barcelona and you have to give me one message, what will be that message? I know I put you on the spot, but that's good.
Yes, you do. I would say come visit Israel, see for yourself what it has to offer, and usually it's there's always something that comes out of it. Like I remember from my own time, I came here, I fell in love with Tel Aviv in 2013 for studying on my first day. It never let me go. It's just an amazing ecosystem, and I think there are a lot of things that can be learned from here.
Thank you, Franca. And Rina, you have tremendous experience with Latin America. If I'm, again, sitting, I'm a corporate, big, middle-sized, even small, what is the message that you want to give to them?
There's one word I want to use, is mindset. I think that what corporates, even entrepreneurs, have to change is their mindset, to think a little bit more bigger, more innovative, don't be afraid of failures, all the things that come with trying to do new and innovative things at a corporate level and middle-sized company and entrepreneur. It's the mindset, the innovative mindset.
We take it, very good mindset. Amos, any 30-second thing? I need 30 seconds also.
Go ahead. I'll give you my 30.
No, what we wanted to do is give you the message that there is a lot of benefits of doing business with Israel. The bilateral business is 2,000 million euros. Spain is the largest, Israel is the largest commercial partner of Spain in the Middle East, if you take away oil, obviously. So there's a lot of opportunities. We saw it today. And from the Chamber of Commerce, we open individuals, startups to connect to Israel. And from the corporates within, there's a lot of opportunities. Let's take open innovation to the next level and do it in different areas, in crypto, in impact, in verticals, and the opportunity is there. We just need to take it. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it. I thank the panelists. You've been great. Thank you.
Thank you.